All right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're playing some more Stormworks Build and Rescue. I was just about to complete this mission, and then I got close to the end, and the game didn't freeze, but it slowed down. So I wasn't going to put out any commentary for the mission, but seeing as how the game decided to do whatever it does, have very low performance lately, I figure I may as well just give an update. Yeah, I was about 2 kilometers, within 2 kilometers of the hospital, and then the game decided it didn't want to be a game anymore. Let's check on everybody, make sure they're all right. Right, so this is the first mission that I've been able to do. I won't say successfully yet because I haven't been able to drop them off yet. The game keeps doing whatever the game does. Yeah, so some of the changes that I've had to make. Every room has a heater in it. All right, there's a heater here. There's a heater in here. Every room where you're going to have people, you need to have a heater. As you can see, down in the bottom right corner, there's the heat waves. As soon as I step into this room, there's no heat. So that's one thing I still have to complete. The other thing is I've changed. I had to change this up a little bit here. We're going to be doing a little bit more work on this ship, trying to finish off some systems. I need to go through the firefighting equipment again. Here, we'll just do this. I'll just step outside for a minute and just show you what I mean. Where did I get this? This is from inside, I think, actually. I got that one person upstairs because I don't have enough room in the medical beds. There's only 6 medical beds, and he's the only one that's injured of all the people that are here. Thankfully, I was able to rescue them successfully this time. So let's see. This is our... What? I can't open and close the hoses anymore? Oh, okay. That's new to me. All right, so the fire suppression system doesn't work anymore because we can't... Oh, R is to toggle the nozzle. Oh, I'm dumb. They changed it. All right, so it's open. Oh, there we go. Hey, nice. Oh, nice. That's good. Look at that. So it wasn't working with the pressure changes, but it seems like they fixed that. Fantastic. Yeah, so I had to do a couple of temporary things just so I could try and run missions in this ship that I'll be going over and explaining. I want to add some of the water cannons to see if those are going to work as well because I was having issues with the pressure with the water cannons. Yeah, so I'll just show you what I had to do. I want to make sure this guy's healed. I'll show you what I had to do downstairs to get this destroyer, this rescue ship to work. And this is my go-to rescue ship. This is going to have all the, right, these rooms down here, the washrooms. I'm going to finish these with this build. I'm going to finish connecting the screens. I'm going to add a kitchen and all that sort of stuff to this vessel. Then we're going to go over the main submarine ship as well. Which we're going to do 2 things with the main submarine ship. We're temporarily going to convert it so that way I can clean up the oil spill that I made. And then we're going to change it over so it can't clean up the oil spill. And I'll create a separate ship. Probably this ship here, based off of this ship model. And yeah, so right now I only have the 3x3 radiators. I'm running missions to try and get the 5x5 radiator. My hope is that maybe the 5x5 will allow these engines to cool down a bit more. I've needed to have 4 of these per engine. Like I say, it could have to do with the rate of flow. I really don't know. I'm not a physicist. I'm not an engineer. You know, I'm just a regular Joe, like 99% of the people that play this game. So with these big scientific changes that they've done that are very complicated, I think it's a bit much for the average, the average player. Like, So yeah, anyways, before the ship vented into the sea, it can't vent into the sea anymore because of the changes to the pressure and that. It doesn't work. So we draw in air here, and we exhaust the engines here. All right. So these 4 panels are for the engines. So sadly, oh, the engines are a bit hot, maybe. Yeah. I can't run the engines at more than 17 RPS. They can go to 20. But if I do, they'll overheat. Why, I don't know. I really hope they give us those changes. Okay, it could be one of two things. So because I'm only using the 3x3 radiator, my assumption is that perhaps I'm not pushing enough, right? There's not enough air transfer. This is me trying to explain science that I don't understand. Yeah. So the way I understand it is that in order for space to work, which is only a small part of this game, they had to change pressures and all this kind of stuff. So in changing the pressures, what they did is they changed the way the way water cools, the pace that water cools, right? So when the coolant goes into the engine, it cools the engine down by absorbing heat from the engine, and then the coolant goes into the radiators where it's supposed to be cooled down by air and the ductwork, which cools the water, and then that cooler water goes back into the engine, right? I guess. I guess. Like I say, I'm not a physicist. I don't know. So I'm assuming that that's kind of the way they've done it, right? So my assumption now is that maybe the 3x3 radiators can't keep up to the demands of these large engines, right? And it doesn't seem to matter how many 3x3 radiators I have, they just can't keep up. So what I have to do is try to unlock the 5x5s. We'll test those out. I'll definitely be posting the results. Hopefully they work better. They should have a higher fluid capacity, and they should have a higher capacity to cool the fluid. You know what I mean? I guess it would kind of make sense. So having said all that, in the short term, if you're using these basic engines, I don't use the modular engines. I just haven't dove into that part yet. I will eventually, but I just haven't gotten there yet. You need to have 4 of these radiators. Yeah, now as you can see, the way I have them set up now, they're not in line. The coolant goes into the first radiator, then the second, then the third, then the fourth, and then it goes back into the engine. I had it set up so that way coolant goes into every single radiator and pumps out of every single. So instead of them being in line like they are now, they were all 4 radiators were independent. And it seemed like I was able to be a little bit cooler than the way it's set up now. So probably what I'll do is I want to do some more testing with air and that kind of stuff. And when I do that, I will retest. I'll reset the setup for the radiators and change them around to see if that makes them a little more efficient, right? Yeah, to me, this kind of would make sense. So the coolant goes into one radiator, then to the next, to the next, to the next, and then it goes back to the engine, giving the coolant plenty of time to cool down by the time it goes back to the engine. But like I say, for some reason, I don't know, they added science to the game, and that me as a regular guy just doesn't understand. So yeah, so I'm only able to run the engines at 17 RPS. If I go above 17 RPS, as you can see, the engines are going to explode. They'll heat up too fast and explode. So yeah, so that's where we're at. I was able to get this thing to work. I'm happy. I'm happy that it works. Thankfully, it took a long time to build this. And when it didn't work, I was sad. And now I don't have to be sad anymore. So the videos, if you're watching the videos where you see me building this ship, it does still work. Thankfully, it does still work. You just have to dial in the RPS of the engines. It's kind of a bit frustrating because the engines can run up to 20 RPS, right? Or 19.9 RPS. But if you try and run the engines at 19.9 RPS with this current setup, they overheat and explode. So like I said, my hope is that the 5x5 radiators will do a better job at keeping the engines cool. I guess we'll see. Yeah, so I just wanted to put a video of an update. This is what I'm doing. I'm running missions, trying to unlock the 5x5 radiators so we can test them out. But yeah, now that I was able to get this ship to work and there's heat in here, I'm able to rescue people again in classic career mode, which is exciting. As you can see, I still have my spacesuit on because I don't have any air. There isn't an air transfer system in this ship yet. But I have a few ideas. I've seen a few things. I've watched a few things about pressure and that kind of stuff. And I know in the research ship, I discovered that the only way to neutralize the air, right, obviously, was to have a trap door. And you would just open the trap door and then air would come in. You know, it's the same thing as opening the door downstairs, right? If we want to be able to breathe in this compartment, we have to open the doors. So my hope now, because they have the duct fans, once I'm done here, if the game works and I'm able to complete this mission, I'll just save it right now, actually. I saved it as a different save because, again, with all the changes and the updates, it's important to have one main save that functions. And when you're running missions, you want to have independent saves for those missions because so much can go wrong. For example, with the ropes. When I went to the sea fort to rescue these people, I took a rope. I attached it to my rope anchor, and I attached it to the bollard on the dock. My ship attempted to capsize because of the weight of the ropes. I don't know. It's just a thing with the game. And it swung into the dock, and the ship exploded. And I didn't save. So I had to redo the trip way out to the sea fort. And yeah, so that's why it's important to have maybe 2 or 3 saves while you're running the missions. It's kind of silly, but that's the way it is, right? It makes sense that they didn't have an autosave with the issues that they have. If it was auto-saving, it could save. And anyways, maybe that's a feature they'll add later on when they've hammered out all the bugs and they figure the game is where they want it to be. So yeah, if you follow the, right, this boat is electric, so it works. If you follow the video where I built this, it does still work, and I am absolutely happy. I just need to upgrade the electrical a little bit more. Now that we're starting to add heat and additional systems to the ship, we're consuming a bit more electricity. It works now, right? But if I turn the engines off, we run out of electricity at a pretty good pace. You know, maybe I'll put in some more solar panels and that kind of stuff, right? So, yeah. So I just wanted to put this out just to show that it is possible to build a ship. It is possible now, finally, to run missions, which I'm doing, and I kind of enjoy it. I haven't done it for a long time. And yeah, that's the setup. You want to have at least 4 of these 3x3 radiators for these big engines. My hope is that the 5x5 is going to get this temperature down, which would be really cool. Really, really cool. And then we could boost the RPS, which boosts our speed, right? Because right now at 17 RPS, we're limited. This ship might be a bit faster because it's smaller, but we're limited to about 8 or 9 meters per second, which is, I don't know, what, 17 knots? I don't know if that's fast or whatever, you know. For a boat, it's probably pretty fast. For a big boat, it's probably pretty fast. But yeah, it would be nice. Before they added in all these updates, you could run the engine flat out. And pumping in seawater, I'd be at 50 degrees. Or 50 heat inside the engines. Maybe 60 heat, you know. And that was good. That was good. You never, ever had the chance of these engines overheating. But now we're running at 100, and the engines explode at 112. So it's a very fine line between the engines exploding and destroying your ship. And yeah. So yeah. So the tests continue. Don't give up. It is entirely plausible to run missions and make a ship that does function. Like I say, this video is just kind of proof of that concept. Yeah, it's tough. What I'm going to do is I'm close to getting these last upgrades. I know I kind of shrug, like I'd like to restart, and I'm kind of like shrugging, like why would you want to restart? You've gotten this far, you've gotten all these upgrades. Well, I just want to see how difficult they've made the game with all these changes by restarting. Like if you watch a lot of my earlier videos, you'll notice that what I had to do was park here in the river, and I was in Holt Town, and I was actually using winches to reach the fuel terminal that they have here. And I was right here. I was refueling right here. And that was the only way that I was able to keep up. Unless you come over here to Donk Island and you refuel from the lighthouse, right? So, which again, I guess that's entirely plausible too, right? That's probably the better one is to go, if you're going to be refueling, the better place to refuel is here at the lighthouse. But it's so far, you know, yeah. I know they made these changes and they like to make the changes, but sometimes I think that they kind of don't, in my opinion anyways, maybe they don't consider the full scope of things, right? You know, oh, why don't you just go out to an oil rig and get oil or whatever, right? But once you start calculating the distances and fuel consumption and heat and all these kinds of things, speed, all that, you start to realize that, you know, some of these changes they've really increased the difficulty of the game. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm getting close. So I was about within 2 kilometers here. I'm going to save it again so I don't have to make this journey. I was within about 2 kilometers, and then the game, I don't know, it got really slow and it became unplayable, so I had to restart. And I've noticed that sometimes when I spawn in, these nodes, like see I have cables connected to my anchors. Well, sometimes those cables aren't there. And the ropes, sometimes the ropes aren't there. And I'll have to load the game over and over again to try and get those things to. So I don't know, maybe that's something they'll be able to, I don't know if they'll even be able to fix it. The spawning glitch. It's a bug in the code somewhere, right? But it doesn't happen every time. So there has to be specific parameters to make it happen. And when it comes to code and that, as we all know, if we're coders, that it doesn't, it can be very, very difficult to recreate those errors, right? Sometimes it's just random. There's a hiccup. It crunches a number and it gets a different result, and that's what it gets, right? Why? We don't know. It just randomly happens. So, yeah. Yeah, and there, I still need to put lights in the bottom here. You'll see it'll get dark, and you won't be able to see down into the engine room and stuff. So there's still a few things I want to do. Probably in the next video, the next video I do will be working on this ship. And then after that, we'll continue on working on the subcarrier, which is, like I say, it's almost ready to go. It needs the touch screens and a couple of things. And then we'll be able to get out there and see about cleaning up the oil spill. But I might even take this ship. Maybe I'll make it a little bit longer because the carrying capacity, the displacement that I have in this vessel as well is quite large. So I might be able to displace the oil. You know, I'll just have to have a spot down on the bottom here where I can store the oil in here. But I might be able to displace it and just clean that up, right? Maybe in the front here, I don't know. We'll have to check it out. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of recording and I'm just sort of talking on this one because I want to see if the game is going to glitch again. Like I say, I wasn't going to record this video because I had already done the mission. So a couple of things I've noticed. When there's a fire, before you could get really close to it and you didn't burn, now you have to stand pretty far away from the fires or else you'll burn. I know they have the suits, so I'll have to check the suits here and see if how well they resist the heat from the fires. They probably do a good job, I'm not sure. But I also noticed that there was blowback. So I was getting close to the fire, and it was pushing me back from the fire for some reason. So I tried to do an earlier rescue mission with the ship, where another ship was on fire, and I wasn't able to get close to the other ship. I would either burn up and die, or it kept throwing me away from the fire into the water while I was trying to fight the fire. Oh, uh-oh. So yeah. Whoa, fishies. Maybe that's why the game glitched last time and the didn't load the tsunami properly. I'm going to save it right now. Yeah, so I'm happy. I was thinking about maybe extending the length of the ship, making it a bit longer. But I don't know. This ship here is pretty ideal. It's kind of like my ideal. This was my rescue vessel. I had the really small one that I made, and then I wanted something a little bit bigger that could go further, and this was it. It doesn't hold very much fuel, but it's really efficient. Like it can go, like I say, I went all the way out to the seafort and back. It's about 40 kilometers, and I can still go a bit further on a full tank. It's got about the 50% range on this is about 30 kilometers or so, which is huge, especially for this game. So, yeah, here we are. We're getting closer. I'm happy. Yeah, so when you're building your ships, you need to have a heater in every room now. And the other thing I need to work on is the air. Trying to get air in here. I know the NPCs, thankfully they don't need air. They're not just going to suffocate. But we need air. We need air to survive. So I'm going to have to figure out how to design a air system. Now you see there, when I went over the tsunami wave, the engines heat up, but then they rested at around 100 degrees, which oh, there it goes again. This is what the game has been doing to me. I don't know why. I'm not too sure what's happening. Yeah. I was really excited. So I don't know. Like, talk about I don't know what's happening. The frame rate just drops off the face of the earth, and then this is what the game does. It gets really slow and glitchy. Let's load and see. This is the other reason why I haven't been doing missions. Stuff like this. So I've seen on GeoMeta, some other people have been having similar issues. Like I say, I don't know. A bug in the code somewhere is probably. So you can imagine it doing that. And you can imagine a lot of times I don't even save. I'll do the whole mission without saving once. I'll forget. And you can imagine having to travel from the seafort all the way back, every single time, right? So we'll set the waypoint there. We'll see if it does it again. And this is why I've been using multiple saves. Because if I've saved the game here, and all of a sudden I can't continue, that's it for my game, right? I'd have to restart. So I probably wouldn't restart. My personal opinion, I wouldn't restart. I'd probably just not bother after that, really, honestly. Let's see if it happens again here. So one thing I could do, let's see. Let's do that. We're within 1.5 kilometers. Let's pause this for a minute, and then worst case scenario, I come back, and I'm just going to skip a little bit of time here and see what happens. Well, let's see. I'll go through here. Let's see what happens here. Go through the night into the next day. Now, I want to check there's a storm coming. Okay, this is our window. I've got 9 people that I need to rescue. That's a lot to try and unload and get into. It's a lot of people. It's a lot to have to do. So let's see if that fixed it. Let's see. Sometimes this is all you need to do. Pass a little bit of time in the game, surprisingly, through all the testing that I've done, and it'll actually, whatever was slowing the game works. I'm not saying that is going to happen here, but sometimes that's all it takes. Right? Sometimes it's all it takes. So hopefully that's all we needed. Oh no, there it is. It happened again. All right. Well, I don't know. Not too sure how to explain that. But thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.